Okay, so first and foremost, like Marie said, we're opening up actions so customers have access to infrastructure. And a good example of this is, hey, look at all this infrastructure. There's different kinds, there's different sources, there's different provider types. Um, it is useful for a catalog. It's less useful if you're trying to make an action and you're trying to narrow it down somewhat, without having to go through and like pull a bunch of individual IDs and stuff if you wanted to like populate a dropdown. There's a lot going on. So we've decided to give customers a boost and makes it a little bit easier. So in this case, let's say you're the on-call and you've got a fleet of EC2 instances running somewhere, and you know that 2 or 3 of them are borked. If you were, excuse me, if you were the admin before, you could manually go in and like set up a dropdown with all the values, with all the IDs that you pulled out yourself. Tedious, bad, and like drifts out of sync really, really easily for scalable resources. So let's make this easier for people. So this is the reboot instances section. Okay, so it's just EC2 instances. And yeah, so like hilarious outfit, right? I love these names. So these are just the EC2 instances that we care about. So if you're the on-call and you're like, hey, these 2 are down, you can go ahead and restart those EC2 instances without having to churn through a bunch of additional stuff. And then like a little bonus, when I say you can reboot 2 of them, I mean 2. You can set up your action now so dropdowns are multi-select instead of single value. You have to configure your payload to handle multiple things, but that is a thing that is possible now. So like that's better than firing the same action twice or trying to like juggle a couple of things. You can do more in a single pass. So let's take a look at what the structure of that is. Basically, while this is loading, we've added a 5th resource to the bound resource types that populate the dropdown. That resource name is infrastructure. And for infrastructure and only infrastructure right now, inside the binding, there's also this filter section. That is an array of filters, and it behaves not unlike the way we filter everywhere else. There's no and or yet. This is just a flat list, and it's just equality, but you can filter by source type and by type and provider resource type. You can mash those together however you like. And then when you query the info resources, they'll be put through that filter. So the results that come back will be scoped to whatever you specify here. So that's kind of great. And like the deeply complicated setup for the multi-select is this. It's just like a single Boolean flag for dropdowns. So like, yeah, one bit that we flip somewhere opens up a bunch of functionality, which is kind of great. So that's the first step. We've exposed some infra. What else? Let's think some more about infra. So let's say you've been tasked with starting up a brand new service and a complete service. So not just like a repository. You're going to do infra. You're going to do tracing. You're going to do all that stuff. You can set up custom actions to make that easier for a developer to spin that up without needing a bunch of AWS permissions. So if we can look at this, all right, cool. Well, you're going to spin up some kind of storage for this new service that you're running. You probably don't want S3, and all of these fields are about S3. That's fine. You probably want something like I don't know, SQL database. Okay, so we'll switch to RDS. The set of fields is completely changed. These are all specific to RDS. The S3 ones are gone. They're different. When you submit the form, it won't submit both. It'll do the right thing. You can specify requiredness for the fields that you care about. Yeah, so you can set up some more sophisticated workflows for showing and hiding things and making things easier for customers. And speaking of making things easier, we got a couple more things. Let's pick an instant type. Okay, so like this is a 1 gig RDS storage. Maybe I want large. Yeah, great. So setting this means we have changed this value to 100. Now that's just a default value. I can type whatever I want. But we've configured some defaults that can watch other parts of the form. So we can populate the default value depending on another value in the field, which sort of makes some workflows a lot easier. And we can do more. So let's see. I guess I'll do Postgres. Oh, good. Yeah. So here are my Postgres specific details. There's like versions. There's stuff in the same way that you can do default values and you can select multiple things. You can select default multiple things. So that is a configurable option that exists. Kind of, it's a real, you got peanut butter in my chocolate moment. Everything comes together and looks really nice. So you can set up some fairly sophisticated workflows for like showing and hiding and making it work. And basically whatever you see in the form when you submit, that's what gets sent off. So you don't need to worry too much about managing other requiredness elsewhere. I'll show you what that looks like under the hood. Okie doke. So the inputs are broadly the same. This one is a dropdown, it's got your values. There's a couple of differences. One is this field. Right now it's called visibility. This is on production, but it hasn't been released to customers. It's not in the docs anywhere yet. So we might rename this field, so don't hold me to this. But this is a JQ expression that watches the value of another field. So all the things here are scoped to manual inputs. We're going to look at the resource type identifier in manual inputs. And if this equals this, then it's going to be visible. And in the same way, where's a good example here? The default value expression, which is different than default value. Those are two different keys. This is also JQ. So you can do an if and an else. You can do quality checks. You can return values, and it's just going to plug those things in as we go. Same thing, it's going to watch the manual inputs namespace, and it's going to watch the specific identifiers to track the values as they go. And then if you wanted to see this one's just kind of a cool bolt-on. In the default value, if you provide an array, and those arrays are in the thing, it will do a pre-selected default with multiple options for a dropdown that is configured to do that. Right, so like show, hides, flips and bits, all these like small ingredients, but I feel like this unlocks a lot of potential for like a single action. It also means like what would have been like maybe 4 or 5 or 6 separate actions can be like one action with some granularity in it. So you don't need to worry about like tracking down secrets and making sure everything's up to date. It's just fewer pieces to handle as an action owner to get the behavior you want and make that possible for users to do the right thing.